if you can share, what is Maslow's hierarchy of needs for people that don't understand it fully? What does that process and framework look like? And then what is your Kaufman sailboat in order for us to learn what that is too?
So a lot of people might not have heard of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but surely they've seen the meme on the internet with maybe toilet paper at the bottom it's a pyramid, you know, with various levels of needs that one needs to fulfill in order to be able to focus your attention on self-actualization, which is becoming all that you're uniquely capable of becoming. So the needs for connection, the needs for self-esteem, the need for safety, and all these things that that clearly, if your mind's preoccupied, you're hungry, right? Like you're not focused on self-actualization, you know. So it's contextual as well throughout the course of our day. You know, if you feel very lonely, your mind is preoccupied with the deprivation of your loneliness. You know, if you don't feel like you're getting any respect, you know, your whole consciousness is directed towards respect me, and you're kind of in part onto the world. You know, you want the world to kind of bend to your will in a way.
Where is respect on that chain of needs?
In Maslow's original, it was the highest up before self-actualization.
Respect.
Yeah. Esteem. He called it esteem.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we need if we can't eat, the only thing we're thinking about is food.
Yes.
If we're sick, the only thing we're thinking about is getting healthy. If we have nowhere to sleep, the only thing we're thinking about is shelter.
Yeah.
And then once we have that foundation, it's the next level of need.
Loneliness, social connection, and then esteem.
Then esteem, which is respect, credibility, I guess, or being respected within your community.
Respecting yourself and then getting respect from others. Yeah, so he had both of those forms of esteem he talked about.
Okay, and the next one is...
So the connection comes before belonging and connection, the need to belong, the need to make connections with others, and then esteem was higher in his original model.
And then the top is...
Then you self-actualize.
Yeah.
And
what does self-actualization mean?
You know, Maslow, here's some like not cheeky things, but things that like grand reveals. First of all, Maslow never drew a pyramid.
Oh.
You know, people don't know that. It's in all the textbooks, and it's like management text, all these management business schools, they learn it. There's no pyramid. Also, he didn't like the term self-actualization. I found in an unpublished essay, because I read all of his unpublished stuff, like just researching, I found in a footnote, he said, I hate that damn word self-actualization.
Really?
Oh my God! I should send you a copy, take a picture, because it's like, when I discovered that, I almost fell off my chair. You know, he actually preferred...
He never said the words.
He did. He definitely used the term self-actualization, but towards the end of his life, he started to think of it more. He preferred the term fully human.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, and that's how he started talking about it later in his life. He just didn't use the term as much.
What does fully human mean in your mind?
Sure. I'll tell you sort of like in his earliest years what he meant by self-actualization first. He thought of self-actualization as becoming your unique creative potential. You know, like what is the thing within you, what's the song within you, right, sort of thing. That's definitely how he viewed it in his early life. But becoming fully human, as he started to think about this concept more broadly, was how can you kind of bring your whole self to the table? You know, not just like your talent, you know. You can become self-actualized and not be very transcendent, not be very, not give back to others, not kind of get outside yourself. And towards the end of his life, he started to distinguish between self-actualizing non-transcenders and self-actualizing transcenders, two different classes of self-actualizers. You know, the self-actualizing non-transcender is the person who goes to work, you know, like they clock in, they do their job. Maybe their job isn't something that necessarily contributes much to society, but you know, they're good. They go home.
It's not fulfilling to them personally.
It might even be a little bit fulfilling, but it's not something that's really getting outside of themselves. You know, and doesn't be in line with what Maslow called the B values.
The B values.
The B values, the values of being itself. So these are values that you don't need to do them for any other reason. Truth, justice, beauty, meaningfulness. He has a long list of the B values. We call the B values. Perfection, excellence. Excellence is one of his B values.
Wow.
You know, you strive for excellence sake. You strive for beauty's sake. You strive for truth's sake.
Not to get likes, not to get followers, not for accomplishments,
that's exactly
but just to be in that state.
To be. You know, you want more meaning in your life, not so that you get famous.
Right.
You want meaning.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So self-actualization and then self-actualization plus
transcendence.
Transcendence.
Yeah.
And what's transcendence mean?
Well, I wish I had a really pithy well, actually, I do have a pithy. I have a definition, but it ain't pithy. I have a complicated definition, because I just want to distinguish between, as I do in my book, between healthy transcendence and unhealthy transcendence.
Okay, what are those?
So you see a lot of these gurus who preach transcendence, and then they kind of molest everyone, in their
Right.
parish or
Right.
whatever, and it's like, you're like, oh, you're really transcending, like, really, it's built on a very faulty foundation, as Maslow put it. He called it pseudo growth, growth built on a faulty foundation, and I call it pseudo transcendence. Yeah,
Interesting.
It's transcendence built on, really, you're trying to get your esteem needs, self-esteem needs met. You're really trying to get you're lonely, so you've built all this stuff to have connections with others. But healthy transcendence, this is a viewpoint of, I didn't even get into my sailboat model, so maybe we're
Sure.
skipping ahead. But yeah, it's the view of the seabird. Yeah.
A bird that's looking above
Yeah.
your life.
You know what I love about you? I love that we just like jumped to transcendence. We're like, all the other.
Let's get there.
Let's just go right to transcendence.
Well, this is what everyone wants, right? Everyone
Yeah.
you want safety, you want connection, you want to feel loved, you want to feel purpose, mission, but ultimately you want to feel like what's
connected to the rest of humanity.
Yeah, what's the greatest potential for my life? What's the meaning of my life? Why am I here? How can I serve my purpose?
Yeah.
And do it fully?
That's right.
And so what is healthy
Healthy transcendence is an emergent phenomenon, and I'll explain every part of this. Healthy transcendence is an emergent phenomenon resulting from the harmonious integration of one's whole self in the service of cultivating the good society. I can break that down.
Yeah.
So
for me, that's kind of like my definition of greatness. I always tell people that.
Isn't that interesting?
The way that I view greatness is, it's discovering your unique talents and gifts that are inside of you, and pursuing your dreams, using those gifts and making an impact on the most people you can in the pursuit of those dreams. So it's figuring out who you are to pursue the thing.
Yours is
that you're meant to
pithier.
do. And then helping as many people as you can along the way. Maybe helping as many people as 10 people. Maybe it's 100 people. Maybe it's your whole community. It's your city or your country. Maybe it is, but maybe it's just your family, and that's fine too. But helping as many people along the way that you're capable of helping.
And yeah, I love that. And the key thing I try to point out there is also that it's important to have integration there of all the various sides of yourself, because and I feel like I don't know, can we get personal about you for a second?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I feel like you've really your whole growth process has really been a process of integration. You had certain sides of yourself you weren't proud of at certain points in your life, and you didn't and you brought it into the rest of you. You didn't you started to have acceptance, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
well, it was very shameful for most of my childhood. I mean, most of my adulthood, I was shameful of things that had happened or things that I had done, happened to me, or things that I created in the world. And I hid those shames.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about them, which made me suffer. And so when I started to talk about them and forgive myself and forgive others and heal, then it allowed me to go beyond that state of being that I was in. I was able to create and accomplish a lot, but I still wasn't feeling connected. I wasn't feeling like things mattered as much. I was still suffering. And so I was wondering, why am I...
You felt a disconnection between self and world.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was like, why am I feeling this? Let me just do more and work harder and win more. But it wasn't supporting my overall growth.
Yeah, and see, now you're very comfortable in your own body. It's obvious to me, like you're very at ease with your being.
Absolutely.
Is a phrase I like to use. Yeah.
So transcendence, healthy transcendence, is essentially the definition of greatness. And we're all trying to get there, essentially. Is that what I'm hearing you say? Or we should all be striving to get there, but it's going to take safety, connection, self-esteem first before we can really get to those levels?
So I'll explain my new revised Kaufman sailboat model. So my revised hierarchy of needs, there's no longer like a pyramid, because Maslow never even drew a pyramid. We're a whole vehicle that needs to be integrated. That's why a sailboat works. All the parts have to work together optimally in order for that sailboat to really move in its most purposeful direction.
I'll put up a graphic or something in here as well for people so they can see it.
Wow, that can zoom in or something?
We can do that, yeah.
You've got mad
We got technology here, So how is yours different than his? What is
Well, it keeps the spirit of what Maslow. See, remember, there was no Maslow's pyramid. He never drew a pyramid. If you actually, people betrayed the spirit of his original theory. So I'm trying to like bring in the original spirit with my own flavor, you know.
Sure.
So in his original theory, he distinguished between the being realm of human existence and the deficiency realm, D versus B realm of human existence. When we're in the deficiency realm, or we're deficiently motivated, so another way of saying is deficiency motivation versus growth motivation. When we're in the realm of deficiency motivation, we're motivated by what we are lacking. And like I said earlier, you know, we try to, we basically are screaming for the things we're lacking in the world. Like if we're hungry, feed me, you know, if we're lonely, like be my friend, you know, which paradoxically makes people not want to be friends with you because you come across as needy. And that's really an interesting paradox. But if you're really like low in respect, you demand respect.
You need to respect me.
Yeah, demand it, you demand it. But the growth realm of human existence is a whole different realm. If you can get to the growth realm of being, you no longer want the world to conform to you. You actually start admiring the world on its own terms. You know, you start to admire people on their own terms, and that's called be-love, love for the being of others. That's what Maslow called it. In the D realm, you have the need for connection, but in the B realm, you have be-love, which is just love for the being of others, not for what they offer to you. You know, like maybe someone doesn't even offer you connection, but you can still admire them. You can still love them. You know, you can still be curious about them, right? So the be love is a whole different realm. So what I did with the sailboat is the boat itself is the D realm, right? You need, if you have too many holes in the boat, you know, the boat's going to sink, right? The water's going to come in and sink. If you're too deficient in the needs for safety, the need for connection, the need for self-esteem, and they all work together as a system, is another point I want to make. It's a feedback loop. I call it the insecurity cycle. People who are deficient in any one of those three tend to start quickly becoming deficient in the other two, right?
So if safety is deficient, then your self-esteem and your connection
you feel lonely,
is low. If your connection is low, then you don't have self-esteem or confidence,
you
and you don't feel safe.
That's exactly right.
And if you have low self-esteem, then you feel disconnected and lack of safety as well.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. You feel like nobody respects me, nobody cares about me, you know. So it's a cycle. So that's the boat. But if the boat is safe and secure, you're still not going to go anywhere unless you open up the sail, right? So it's not enough to just be safe and secure. Some people are acting these days like the ultimate is just to be the lack of what they have, you know, no longer lack what they have, and then they're going to be happy. It's like, no. There needs to be something above zero, right? You can't just get from -50 to 0, right? You go to a psychologist and you're anxious. You have generalized anxiety disorder. A lot of people, are you just satisfied if you leave the psychologist no longer being anxious in the world? You know, there's still nothing added to that. So once you can open the sail and move with vulnerability against the inevitable winds and waves of the sea, you move in a purposeful direction with a spirit of exploration, be-love, and purpose. Despite knowing that the waves could come crashing down on us at any time. And even though we're all in our own boat, we're moving in the same sea together. So that wave can come crashing on many boats at the same time, you know. So we need to be connected to the rest of humanity, and also still have that bravery and exploration drive to just go despite our fears, you know. I was nervous today. I was nervous this morning. This is the first time I've put on a suit in a year. This is the farthest I've driven in over a year.
5 miles, yeah.
6 miles. You know, and it's like, I was a little nervous. But the thing is, you have to move in life. You have to keep moving, you know, and that's the sailboat metaphor, is you have to open that sail ultimately, or else you're not going to grow. You know, you have to get outside your comfort zone.
And when you open the sail, there's exploration, love, and purpose.
Yeah. So another way of putting that is, whereas security is, the base of security is safety, the base of growth is exploration. Does that make sense?
So safety and exploration. Because you could have safety, connection, self-esteem, but if you don't have exploration, if you're not growing, then you feel stagnant, you feel disconnected, you probably feel less safe then also, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Something's missing, I got to shake something up in my life.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes we might not even feel safe and still say, "Fuck it, I'm going to choose exploration." You know, like sometimes we don't have to wait till we're fully safe in order to explore. And
why is that?
why are some people like, take two people, some people have the fear and they don't grow, and some people have the fear and they do? Is that kind of the question?
Yeah,
'Cause that's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that question.
I just want to be close,
that's a good one.
zoom in on the question, because it's like I wish I knew the precise answer. Some of it does come down to personality differences. Maslow did write that like the self-actualizers he studied seemed to, as opposed to being frightened by the unknown, they were turned on by the
Excited.
unknown. Excited. He used the word excited.
I get excited.
Yeah.
I get excited because I don't know if there's ever been like a bad moment when something didn't work out, or I failed, or like I was humiliated. I can't look back and say that ruined my life.
Yeah.
Like, it might have been a moment of embarrassment, and it might have affected me earlier in my life when I didn't know how to use those emotions for good, or I didn't know how to transcend the feeling of embarrassment or loneliness or rejection. But as I look back at my life, and you talk about this in your book about the history of looking back, we should look back at the history of our life like a historian. I think you mentioned that.
Yeah.
And
Maslow talked a lot about
that.
that.
And as we look back like a historian, like, okay, look at all these different moments and years and timelines and chapters and pages that we turned. And if I look back, I'm like, every decision I made that had a risk, that was scary, turned out for the better.
Yeah.
Like, even if it turned out for the worse, it eventually, it built a foundation of like, I can do this. I can go after what I want, and I'm still going to be alive.
Yeah.
And my family's still there for me, my friends, it's going to be okay. And I think a lot of people live in a state of deficiency realm, or the state of fear, that they don't want to go after what they could be, or what they're interested in doing, because that risk is too big, and they're too afraid of, I guess, feeling a lack of safety, connection, and self-esteem.
Yeah.
If I risk and I fail, then I'm going to lose my house, no one's going to be my friend, and I'm going to have zero confidence in myself.
Yeah.
Which makes it then there's no foundation to the sailboat.
You got it. You nailed it. A lot of people who fear their self-esteem need is so important to them. What's really going on with them is, underneath it, is they have a fear of shame.
In terms of what? Like, if I fail,
if they fail, they'll be shamed. They'll be like revealed as not as smart as they thought they were, or not as great, as they thought they were. I mean, you've interviewed so many great people, and do you find a common theme in terms of there are many moments in their life where they definitely weren't great.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And they were okay with that.
Uh-huh.
Like, it didn't put them in a downward spiral of depression,
right,
where they were no longer able to pick themselves up again, right?
So how do we reframe life in a way so we can actually take on risks, take on growth, take on challenges, and it not hurt our self-esteem when we do fail? Because we're all going to be failing in order to grow. It's not going to be like, I'm going to win at everything and be perfect, and it's always going to be a New York Times bestseller, and everyone's going to praise every decision I make.
That's right.
So how do we build our self-esteem foundation so that no matter what happens in the results of our life, we're still confident and esteemed in who we are?
I think the best way to look at self-esteem, and the healthiest form of self-esteem, is as, again, I'm going to use the phrase emergent phenomenon. I'm a really big fan of that phrase. It's not something that you shoot for. The problem with people who show mental health issues is that they have made self-esteem itself the goal, as opposed to the outgrowth of a natural outgrowth of pride, healthy pride in something you built, some form of mastery, as well as your social relationships. Psychologists distinguish between hubristic pride and authentic pride. And I think the healthiest route to self-esteem, the kind of self-esteem that will really lead to growth, is authentic pride.
What's the difference? Authentic pride versus...
Hubristic pride is driven by the path of the need for dominance, the need for power. The self-esteem becomes the goal in itself, Authentic...
Being confident, commanding respect is the goal.
It's the goal, yeah. It's having the accolades as much as possible so that it reflects on your ego.
Why do people live in that state? What do you call that? The
hubristic pride.
Hubristic pride. Why do people, and what happens when we come from that place if that is our goal?
Both evolutionary psychologists have studied this, because both evolve. I mean, there's a reason why it exists in the human gene pool. Both paths evolved over the course of human history for different purposes, but they both served its function. Dominance, being able to be the the top person in your clan, you know, on the savannah, certainly had its meeting benefits, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
But, you know,
Sure.
but that wasn't the only pathway to meeting. See, the thing is, there was also people in the tribe who were the experts, you know, the professors,
Right.
who were getting laid, you know, just as much, you know, but
The wise man.
yeah, the wise, yeah, exactly. And both pathways evolved and still exist in our gene pool. And there also are some genetic factors here. Some people are actually more predisposed to one path or the other. You know, some people, you know, but it doesn't mean we can't change or we can't grow in our life, we can't kind of shift our pathway.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the authentic pride. So what happens when we live from that state of hubristic?
Yeah.
Hubristic pride. Will we ever feel fulfilled, even if we get command, respect, and get all the accolades and accomplishments and money and houses? If that is the goal, will we be fulfilled and happy inside?
No, it really is like a hedonic treadmill. Yeah, you keep running on this treadmill, but you never get to the end of the treadmill. Have
psychologists studied people that have lived in that state of being who are happy?
Yeah, I'm sure they exist. I mean, I'm not the kind of person who will say that there's never, you know, or that one must live their life. In fact, I want to be clear about something in my book. I'm very clear that self-actualization and the path to self-actualization is one where you find the path that works best for you and your own unique constellation of traits, characteristics, life experiences. Only you can choose what path works for you, and you should own it. You know, I think there are a lot of people who have made their life work for them, who know that at various points in their life, you know, and these things change. The thought of, for some reason, Tucker Max is coming to my mind. There was a point in his life where he
changed.
He did, but there was a point in his life where he owned being an asshole.
Yes.
And this is what I think is interesting, is that I don't know why that example. I think that it's irrelevant actually. Why that example, because I feel like I knew him before and then after as well. Yeah. And then, you know, he put on his website at one point, he's like, I am Tucker Max, and I am an asshole. And I don't know if he was fulfilled in that moment of his life, but he found something that met his own unique constellation of traits. And I think it's interesting because I'm not a judge. I'm like the least judgmental person. You know, maybe not the absolute least because you've met a lot of cool people, but I'm very non-judgmental. So for instance, I do personal coaching now, right? And I have like 17 clients, and for every single one of them, I have be-love. You know, it's not my job to like condemn someone. You know, it's my job to sit back and listen to them and see what is at this moment in their life, what kind of life works for them. You know, and maybe at this moment in life, for some people, they have such this excess of anger and excess of that they need to get out and so I want to kind of help them cultivate it in a productive direction.
Because stress is insidious in our culture, and it causes not only psychological but a whole range of physical health symptoms and ultimately diagnoses. Stress is really problematic, and unfortunately many of us as even adults are experiencing increasing amounts of stress